hello, and welcome to episode 153 of Prog Review. And if you haven't managed to read the description, I'm going to be talking about this here album, Smallcreep's Day by Mike Rutherford. And if you've not been paying attention, I'm looking at the various alumni from the prog band Genesis, you know them. I'm looking at their very first solo albums and talking about them. You'll have to investigate which ones I've already talked about, because I can't be bothered to spoon feed you today. No. So anyway, before I start jibber jabbering, we're gonna have a look at the product first. Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Take it away, Darren. Why, thank you, Darren. And here we have, well, Smallcreep's Day by Mike Rutherford. What did you expect me to have in my hands? This is going to be short and sweet. It's just a tiny little kind of thing, just cardboard, sleeve and a disc, and it's got all the information. It's just like having a very tiny LP, a very flimsy tiny LP, but you can see where it is. It's a 2007 issue. Again, I don't know if you can get these. Probably get them on eBay. And see, like I said, 2007, so it's a modern issue. And let's have a look at the disc itself. It's all nice and blue, and there you go, it's got everything on it again, and that's it really, not much else to say. So yeah, so I better hand you back to the big fat idiot. Take it away, Darren. Well, I think you'll agree that was most informative. So, Smallcreep's Day, released 15th of February 1980, shortly after Tony Banks's effort, Curious Feeling. It was also recorded at the Polar Studios, ABBA's studios in Stockholm, during the autumn of 1979. So there's kind of an overlap between those two records, but they're quite different, really. What's to be said? This really is an album of two sides. No, it really is. Even if you've got it on CD, it's got two sides to it. Yeah, did you get it? No, okay. But yeah, it really is an album of two sides. The first side is taken up with the story of Smallcreep himself and his day. Obviously, it's all in the title. They're giving it away. They're giving away the whole plot in the title, Smallcreep's Day. And is actually based on a novel by Peter Cole Brown of the same name. Notice there's a theme here. Tony Banks did an album based on a novel, and Rutherford did. You get the feeling that these guys haven't got an original thought in their head, that they're just too busy copying stuff from novels. That's the middle class way, that is, trust me. Oh, I'm being very cheeky today. But yeah, the concept is about a man fighting the monotony of working life, in the factory against the machinery. Oh, stop me, man, stop the machinery. And it's like a journey towards his own self-awareness. And whereas the book turns out to be a rather depressing affair, Rutherford gives it a little twist, and so that the protagonist has a happy ending. That's nice, isn't it? Happy. We all love happy endings. The musical suite starts very moodily with Between the Tick and the Tock, and then crashes into Working in Line, which is probably one of my favourite songs on the album. It's full of acoustic guitars, and a guitar solo that would actually make Mr. Hackett blush. Oh yes, indeedy. You instantly get the feeling that Rutherford has been let off the leash, and he's hey, running amok. I can play guitar. I can do a solo. Tony Banks isn't here. Hey, you get the feeling that's going on. And then we have, there's instrumental padding between each of the songs, and you get After Hours. It's all atmosphere, and it leads into Cats and Rats in Our Neighbourhood. And if you strip out the vocals, it's one of them again, I'm afraid. The song has a distinctly Genesis feel to it, specifically from Duke, and I'm thinking Man of Our Times, and it rocks along nicely. And the instrumental breaks that you get, they're quite nifty. It tickled a spot. Then we have Smallcreep Alone, which is another ambient synth atmospheric instrumental bit, connective tissue between the songs, and it's like Tony Banks has been cloned. Yeah, really. Can you imagine that? Two Tony Bankses? What a frightening thought. Then Out into Daylight, which is a rollicking little number, all skittering drums, and has a a wonderful bit of guitar and synth interplay. And some of the phrasing is, again, distinctly Genesis, but some of it feels almost like Andy Phillips had a hand in it, but more of that later. Such is the nature of the musical DNA of the record. It's a, you know where this is coming from. And it is good fun. I'll give it a mark for that. The musical story ends with "at the end of the day." At the end of the day, do you hate when people say that? At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the sun goes down and we all go to bed. Anyway, it's a big ballad number, so you get your Zippo lighters ready. Have you got your Zippo lighter? Yeah. Oh, me thumb! I burnt me thumb. Oh. No, I didn't. I just pretended. Just trying to keep you guys awake and entertained here. It's full of big chords and restrained drumming. I mean, it's okay, but you get the feeling that the whole concept kind of ran out of steam, and the album ends with a whimper rather than a bang. If you get my drift, I mean, it's a distraction, but it's no suppers ready. It's no Duke's Sweet. It's it is what it is. The rest of the album, if we turned it over, look, so I'm turning it over. Look, I've turned it over. It's a little more mediocre for my taste, and where I tolerated the vocals of Noel McCallagh, he ends up going full screech on us, and that's when I start to get a little irritated. And there's a problem with vocalists and Genesis solo albums. I think you'll find, Hackett's been through it, Banksy, Rutherfordy, Anthony Phillipsy. They've all had, their misfires in the vocal department. Well, except for Phillips, he used Phil Collins, and so did Hackett. Maybe if they'd have used Phil Collins. I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, Moonshine. It's okay. It's not a bad. It's not a bad song, but the vocals again just spoil it for me. Time and Time it's another one of those forgettable ballads. And Romany, it features some interesting instrumental parts, but I was jarred by some of the arpeggiated keyboard motifs at the beginning because it reminded me of Marillion. Yeah, I'm thinking Charting the Single, that era. Again, you've got to hear it to believe it. Every Road is a very pleasant 12-string number. It's got a lovely acoustic sound to it, but again, this is where the vocalist doesn't suit the music. It needs somebody with presence. And Noel McCallagh, he doesn't have any presence. He doesn't have any bottom end. It's all shrill and can't stand it. I like rounded voices. It's listen to that Gabriel, isn't it? And I'm thinking Richie Havens again. If he'd have done it, might have been good. And then the last track is Overnight Job. And actually, there's a kind of similar vibe and pacing to the show from Hackett's Defector album of the same year. In fact, the vocal performances of Pete Hicks from Defector aren't a million miles from those of Noel McCallagh on Smallcreep's Day, But at the end of it, both songs are very much of their time, early 80s. Now, I thinking back, I had a dodgy MPV. That ain't right. Was that multiple people vehicle? Is that right? No, MP3. It's the teeth. Should I put the good teeth in? You see, I should edit all the mistakes out, but then you'd get bored. But yeah, I had a dodgy MP3 version of this. I mean, don't tell the internet police when you. I don't know where I got it from. It was a long time ago. This was downloaded back in the day, steam-driven internet, that kind of thing. And I listened to it, but it never really dawned on me. It just kind of sat there. I think it's because I didn't own the product. Sometimes I download stuff. This is the thing with the difference between downloads and tangible products. Is I'll download an album and I'll forget about it. It happens with the stuff I download with eMusic, and then 10 years later I'll find it and go, oh, that's rather good. But I digress. Yeah. But as this run of the prog reviews, I thought I'd try and get hold of a tangible one. I got this kind of limited 2007 release, which they sold at the Genesis concerts, apparently. And hoping it'd sound a bit better, and it did, but it still needs a good remastering. But I've got a volume switch. I just turned the volume up. I am clever. Unlike Hackett's and the Gabriels and the Bankses and the Collinses, the great thing about Smallcreep's Day is that it does defy expectation because there aren't any. While it is no lost classic, it certainly deserves your attention. Well, the first side does anyway, because you've got an excellent set of cast of musicians there, because you've got Rutherford doing guitars and basses, Anthony Phillips on keyboards, Simon Phillips on drums, the late great Maurice Pert on percussion, and Noel McCallum on vocals. Now, did you know that his son appeared on the 5th and 6th series of the UK talent show X Factor? Yeah, he did. Well, that's a bit of trivia that you can amaze your beard-stroking, prog-loving friends with. Oh, yes. Now, I better whittle on because time is fleeting and I'm worried the camera's going to turn me off. Turn it on again. I know that's what you want to say. But as a rating, I'm going to give this a solid 3 ticks and tocks out of 5. Yes, that's a solid 3 ticks and tocks out of 5. It's not a great record, but it certainly shows Rutherford's contribution into the Genesis song gene pool, and that is worth investigating. Now, some of you say the rating system. What is the rating system? If you haven't worked it out, the rating system is a joke. I don't keep a note of what I say. 2 different days could have been 2 different ratings. I make it up as I go along, and that's it. The idea is to gauge my enthusiasm at the moment of me doing this. This isn't scientific. I'm not a scientist. Do I look like a scientist? Don't answer that. Don't tell me what I really look like. But the idea is just to give you a fun way of, if it's a 5, it's good. And if it's a 1, avoid it. And anything in between, you work it out. It's the words you should be listening to, not the rating at the end. The words and the general expression on my face. Good. Bad. You got that? Anyway, my name's been Darren Hook, and I've been blabbering on about Smallcreep's Day from Mr. Michael Rutherford. And hopefully it's been interesting to you. Thank you for being a wise and patient audience. And we'll do this again next with Phil Collins' Face Value. Oh, we're going to have some fun with that. We will have. It's not a bad record. And I'm going to tell you why. And that's it. Only one more thing to say. And that is, prog on.